week's writing hack is to shift your scholar's mindset. If you're an innovator with an advanced degree, or if you're a researcher trying to commercialize your research, then this video is for you. What do I mean by a scholar's mindset? Well, as a former scholar, I know that in the academic world, we tend to believe that we can persuade people by using logic, certain kinds of evidence, and a certain degree of caution. None of these strategies will fly quite the way you might expect in the business world. Let me explain. So in the academic world, we spend a lot of time, we invest a lot of energy in making sure that our arguments are watertight. So we really emphasize logic, and I'm using that term logic in the Aristotelian sense of logos, right? Rational thought. Now, in the business world, what we need to understand is that the way people make decisions is not logic oriented. People make decisions in the business context, and actually just in life in general, usually based first on an emotional reaction. And then where logic comes in is they use logic to rationalize the decision that they've already made. So what this means is that when you're shifting from a scholarly mindset to a business mindset, you don't stop using logic, but you change the order in which you emphasize it. So rather than starting your web page or starting a pitch or starting any kind of document or presentation with a heavy emphasis on facts and data, you want to first think about how you hook your audience emotionally. And then once you've hooked them, once they're engaged and interested, then you can bring in your logic and your data. Now, this brings us to the second point about evidence. So when I taught writing in the university environment, and when I, of course, published myself, I was really aware that any claim I made had to be substantiated, and it had to be substantiated not just with any old evidence I found lying around, but it had to be substantiated with very credible evidence, evidence that other scholars would respect. Now, in the business world, you also need to make sure that you back up your claims. But the distinction I would make, the shift in mindset, is you want to think not necessarily about the kind of evidence that would appeal to you as a scholar, as a researcher. You want to think about the kind of evidence that would appeal to your business readers. So you really need to get their perspective, get inside their head. Many times, a peer-reviewed article, for instance, a footnote that you would find compelling evidence might not mean anything. It might actually be irrelevant to a business reader. But what they might find compelling might be a testimonial or some data about how your product or service has made an impact in real life, so to speak. And the third point I said about the scholar's mindset is actually one of the things that creates trust in academic writing is a certain sense of caution. The formal or technical name for this is hedging. Hedging is what we do whenever we carefully qualify a claim we make so that we're very careful not to overstate a claim. For instance, we might say business people tend to think. You see, even now, I am very prone to use these kinds of hedging expressions. Or we might say, it seems that, it appears that, the research suggests, it seems to be indicated, to all appearances. So there are a number of different ways that we can carefully qualify any statement we make. And as academics, we do that so that it's really clear that we're not overstating a claim, that we haven't strayed into some territory where we can't have that carefully constructed argument supported by evidence. In the business world, the problem is that business readers don't necessarily understand that as that kind of sophisticated move it is. They will misread that as a lack of confidence. So there's a very fine line to walk here, but it can be done. So it's a matter of learning how to express a claim in a clear and direct and a realistic way so that you maintain your integrity and your writing maintains its integrity, but at the same time, you come across as somebody who has complete confidence in what you're saying and your ability to deliver what you say you'll deliver.